Walt Disney World has a unique system of reserving your place in line early, especially compared to the other Disney parks. We're going to talk a little bit about Fastpass Plus, what it is, how it works, and some tips for you to get the most out of it. Most theme parks nowadays have a system of skipping the line, passing the line, saving some time waiting. Most parks you have to pay for it. At Disney, it's a little bit different. Disney has a system called Fastpass, and it's free for everybody. This is true at all the Disney parks, whether it's the ones in the States or the ones international as well. In the past, at least at the ones in the States and at Disneyland Paris, you had a system called Fastpass where it was a paper ticket, and you had to go to a kiosk in the park once you got inside, put in your ticket for the day, and it would spit out a paper ticket, and that was your time to come back to that ride. Over at Walt Disney World a few years back, they changed the system, and they went from the paper ticket inside the park system to a system where you reserve your tickets actually before you ever get to the parks, called Fastpass Plus. It has meant some changes in how you approach the park. It's meant some changes in how you use the system. And for many people, myself included, it actually created a pretty good bit of confusion. If you're used to the old paper ticket system, this one works a good bit differently, and it can change how you approach planning your day a lot. You've got to make sure that you're aware of how to use Fastpass Plus. It has affected the lines for standby a little bit as well. It's made them a little bit longer in many parts of the day, and so you definitely want to use Fastpass Plus to the best advantage possible to be able to get the most out of your day. And it starts really at home a couple months before you ever go on vacation. If you're staying on Disney property, you can actually book your Fastpass Plus reservations 2 months before you go. If you're not staying on Disney property, or if you're a pass holder, then it's 30 days. You want to make sure you hit that window as soon as possible, because for the rides with the biggest attraction, the ones in the most demand, such as Flight of Passage Pandora or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train at Magic Kingdom, you want to make sure that you get them booked as early as possible, because otherwise there's a chance you may not get them. So what it means is an early morning that when you hit that window to be able to book them. Whether it's the 2-month window or the 30-day, watch your My Disney Experience app and it'll let you know. You're saying, wait, what? My Disney Experience? On your phone, Disney has an app for your smartphone called My Disney Experience. You can actually log into it on your computer as well if you go to the Disney World website. It'll have a spot where you can log in, check your reservations, and that gets you to the My Disney Experience. It is in that place that you will actually book your Fastpass Plus. You can look at your hotel reservations, your dining reservations, and book all of those in there as well. And when it works, it's fantastic. However, it has been known to get a little buggy sometimes. Don't ask me why, but on my phone in particular, at least my old Galaxy 8, it worked fantastic in Missouri at home, and I could use the app just fine. As soon as I stepped off the plane in Florida, for whatever reason, the app wouldn't work. I couldn't load anything, couldn't see my pictures, couldn't see my reservations. I don't know why. So my last trip in February, I actually made sure that my daughter had the app installed on her phone with our reservation information, and it worked just fine. No clue. Not a clue. So when it works, it's great, but don't be terribly shocked if it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, go to another device. Worked fine on my computer, and that's how I booked my Fast Passes, was actually on my computer rather than my phone. In my Disney Experience, there is a tab for Fast Pass reservations. And that's where you want to go. Check that. If you are outside of your booking window, the 30 or 60 days, it's going to tell you that you can't book them yet. So count your days, not the months, the days. So if you're arriving on the 15th of the month and you go 60 days before that, you're probably not actually booking your Fast Passes on the 15th. You're probably booking them on like the 17th or 18th because of the number of days in the month. So just be aware of that. You want to be up early that morning. Make sure that you are at that earliest part of the booking window, and it's going to change depending upon what time zone that you are in. On the morning that I had to book them, it meant getting up at 6 a.m. so that way I could be there at the computer ready, having it ready to go. And you want to make sure you get them booked at that point so that way you can get the rides that you really want, which means a little planning ahead of time. Which rides do you really want to do the most? What days do you hope to go to each park? And you might need to be a little flexible when booking the Fastpass. But try to have as much of your itinerary planned as possible. Do you know what day you want to go to Magic Kingdom? And what day to Animal Kingdom? And what day to Epcot? And then under each of those parks, make sure you write down your priority for rides or visits or character interactions and things like that that you want to do. Because you're going to want to make sure that you have those listed, because your top priorities, those are the ones you're going to want to book first. Especially if it is a high demand ride. Know which rides are in high demand. Over at Epcot, you're looking at the Frozen ride first, and then Soaring, and then Test Track. Those are your big three at Epcot, and you can only book one of those three when you first book your Fast Passes. Over at Magic Kingdom, it is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. At Hollywood Studios, currently, this is before Star Wars opens, it's anything in Toy Story Land. Slinky Dog is the big one, but Toy Story Mania, and you can only book one Fast Pass in Toy Story to begin with. And then over at Animal Kingdom, of course, it is Pandora. Flight of Passage is the big one. If you book the Navi River Journey, you can't book Flight of Passage. You have to pick one or the other. Get Flight of Passage if you can. After you have those top ones, then you're looking at the other attractions to kind of fill in your top three picks. And I would suggest listing 4 or 5 on there, so that way if you don't get one of your top ones because it's already been booked, you've got some other alternatives. That morning as you sit down and you start to book them, book the hardest one to get first. When you sit down to book your Fast Pass, you don't have to book just your first day and then your second, then your third, then your fourth, or however many days you're there. This is going to sound a little weird. Book your last day first with Fast Passes. Because the way the 60-day window works is it starts at the first day of your reservation. So further on in your visit is going to have less people who will have booked those Fast Passes than early on in the visit, because the people who are visiting before you and visits overlap will have already been booking on that day. So start at the end, because it's going to be a little easier to get those high demand Fast Passes, and then kind of work your way backwards. And again, working off the days that you want to go to each park. Don't panic if your Fast Pass isn't available. If you've got a ride you really want, and on your first day checking you don't see it at the park you want on the day, if you're flexible, check that same park on a different day of your visit, and it might be there. But it may also pop up later as well. So don't panic if you don't get them. If your high demand ride isn't there, book what you can get and leave a slot open for that high demand ride later so you can keep checking back. The reason I say leave a slot open, some people will book all 3 of their Fast Passes each day and then try to get new ones. For me, at least, if I tried to do that, it would not allow me to do it without canceling a Fast Pass first anyways. I couldn't even look to see what was available. That may be another glitch in the My Disney Experience app, but just be aware of that. That if there is a ride you're really, really wanting to get, like Flight of Passage, and it's completely booked and they aren't available when you book, leave an empty spot. Don't book Navi River Journey unless you really want to. And be willing to keep looking later on and switch. I've actually had Fast Passes pop up available 2 days before my trip, because people will cancel them. So don't hesitate to keep checking back and see if you can get that ride later. Book what you can get, leave the slot, and keep trying, because it may pop up. This is also true of the dining reservations, by the way, as well, because things open up much later that weren't there to begin with. My other big suggestion is when you're looking at your time slots, is to book them in the morning. Now, I know some people like to go and sleep in, and I understand. You're on vacation, you want to sleep in, you want to rest. For me, going to theme parks isn't a vacation. I know that sounds really weird. But it's kind of an adventure, and as much money as you are paying to get in that park, you want to get as much out of it as possible, which is one of the other reasons I tell people, get there early in the morning. You also want to book your Fast Passes early in the morning, and there's a good reason for this. Book them as early as possible, one right after the other. In a perfect world, if the park opened up at 9, you want one Fast Pass from 9 to 10, one from 10 to 11, and one from 11 to 12. That's in a perfect world. We know that doesn't always happen. But as much as possible, book them early in the day. And then get up and go. If you need to take a break later on in the afternoon, do that if it helps you get up in the morning. It's going to get you in the park when the lines are smallest, the crowds are lowest, and you're going to get more rides and more for your money that way. But it's also going to affect your Fast Passes. Once you've used all 3 of your Fast Passes at a park that day, you can then go back onto the app on your phone or at some of the kiosks in the park and you can book more fast passes and start adding them on. Which means if your 3 fast passes are all done at, say, noon or earlier, if the park opens up earlier, well, then you have more hours to be able to book more fast passes. And if they're available, you're able to just keep loading on fast passes. Every time you use up that next fast pass, you can get another one. So if you've used your 3, you book a 4th fast pass on your phone. As soon as you use that fast pass, you can now book another fast pass for a different ride. So now you're at 5, 6, 7. And it will help you do more rides with fast pass. The other thing that's really nice about this is your first 3 fast passes, or the ones that you book ahead of time, all have to be at the same park. But after you have used those initial 3, if you are planning on going to a different park that day, after those first ones are used, you can then start booking fast passes at different parks as well. And it gives you an option to be able to park hop a little bit that way if you have the appropriate tickets. If you don't have a park hopper ticket, don't try to park hop. They're not going to let you in whether you have a fast pass or not. I have actually seen people that have been able to get 8 and 9, 10 fast passes in a day. Really working the system hard. I mean, every time they use one, they were immediately getting another. So it takes a lot of work to get that many. But you can get a good number of fast passes working that system if you're willing to get there early in the day and book your fast passes first thing and then one right after the other. It will allow you to be able to work the system more and to get more out of it. It's something that most people aren't going to do. Most people aren't even aware you can do of. And that's how you get the most out of FastPass Plus. In the old days, it would have meant as soon as you used your paper ticket, running on to the next ride to get another paper ticket out of their kiosk. And now you can do it all on your phone, and you can just keep working it as you walk around the park. Don't be afraid that as soon as you've used your fast passes, start looking for more and booking more. And that's probably the biggest trick with FastPass Plus that most people aren't aware of. It's after you use those first ones to be able to book more, whether in the same park or afterwards. That was actually something that I hadn't realized, and so I was just kind of taking fast passes at whatever time of the day, which meant my last fast pass was oftentimes towards the middle or end of the day. Well, that kind of killed any chance of getting more fast passes because you had to wait till that last fast pass was used up. But if you move them to the early part, you can really crank them out. So that's probably my biggest trick is book them early, book them together, and then book more afterwards. Make sure that you're on your computer that day your booking window opens up so you can book them that first day and have the best chance at getting the rides that you really want, and then do the best you can to book them early in the day, and you're going to get the most out of FastPass. And then you'll get the most out of your day at Disney too, and be able to get the most out of your money. And isn't that what it's all about? I mean, hey, if you're spending $100 a day, you may as well try to make sure you get the most out of it you can. Do you have other tips for FastPass? I would love to hear them. Again, Walt Disney World system is different than Disneyland's and the other Disney parks. We don't know yet if Star Wars is going to be on FastPass. Early indications are it is not. So it's probably not going to apply to that. At least not for the first several months, but who knows? That, of course, will change how you book. If you've got other tips, though, I would love to hear them as well. Please be sure to post them in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like and share as well. I also want to give a huge shout out to my new patrons. Welcome back to T-Chess Media. He's been a huge supporter. He's actually helped us go to Disney last October, and we're going to Disneyland next October. So thank you, Alex and T-Chess Media. We love you. I can't tell you how much we appreciate you. I also want to give a shout out to my other 2 new patrons, Jana Birch and John Mims. Thank you so much for signing on. If you want to know more about Patreon or all sorts of other stuff, be sure to check the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless. Walt Disney World has a not brand new. And so you definitely want to be able to use FastPass Plus to the most of your advantage. Man. Excuse me. Eastern time zone. Ouch. Okay, I am going blank. If you'd like to know about my merchandise, fan pages, and more, be sure to check the description below. If you'd like to know whenever I've got a new video posted, well, make sure you hit that button right up there and subscribe. If you'd like to watch another one of my videos, I've got a great one for you right here. And if you'd like to be like these wonderful people here and support me financially on Patreon, well, make sure you check the link right there. There's even some extra perks for them. Thank you so much, and God bless.